Sadhguru discovers an ancient linga in Turkey. After watching this video, I had some questions. Now I'm going to play the video and stop at points where I'll discuss those questions and find out what exactly Sadhguru is pointing towards.
4,700 years ago, there was a full-fledged temple with almost 5 feet tall lingam. We put the Rudraksh and showed them how at different places, how the linga behaves differently. Whole of Europe was full of temples like this.
The whole of Europe was full of temples like this. What does he mean? Does he mean that there was a civilization that spread out through the whole of Europe? What was that civilization? Let's keep watching.
I was in Turkey just 2 weeks ago. You've heard of Konya? Outside in the gardens, how many broken pieces, you know? Huge faces, half faces, all kinds of things. Old temples all broken and made foundation stone.
Okay, so I want to show you the picture. This looks like a mosque. And let's hear him again.
You've heard of Konya? Outside in the gardens, how many broken pieces, you know? Huge faces, half faces, all kinds of things. Old temples all broken and made foundation stone.
He's laughing. He's laughing at what? He's laughing at how this civilization that was spread out through Europe had structures which were broken down by this new civilization and used as foundation stones for their temples. He's laughing. Why? Because this is a known fact, but not in history, not part of the history, but a known fact, admitted by the people, known to those people who live in those places. But that history is not included as part of the common history shared by the humanity. So, let's continue.
Old temples all broken and made foundation stone. So we were just walking through, and there in the garden I found about 4.5 feet or more, about 4 feet 9 inches kind of linga, properly created linga, an ellipsoid stone. Wow! And when we looked at the history and things like that, they said this is almost 4,700 years old. 4,700 years ago, there was a full-fledged temple with almost 5 feet tall lingam which was in worship. And it was consecrated that long ago, still alive. Cracked a little bit, so got disturbed, and I was just demonstrating for the 3-4 people who were with me. Every point in the linga is different. You know, different points in the linga are differently done, beautifully done piece. It's…
Okay. Now here he's saying that this linga that he found was still alive. What does that mean? It means that it was still emanating the frequencies that it was bestowed with. There's a certain process which involves energizing with different frequencies of vibration that can be kept alive based on a science that was known to the Vedic priests and rishis. So he's able to find that this linga, even though it is cracked, is still resonating not just one frequency but multiple different frequencies that have been aligned in that particular linga, which is a fine work of energizing a linga with different layers of frequencies.
I mean, whoever worked on it, they knew what they were doing. Rudimentary job, very… differently done, beautifully done piece. Whoever worked on it, they knew what they were doing, not rudimentary job, very subtle work. Still alive, 4,700 years, thrown out in the garden, not worshipped, still alive because of little bit of cracks that have happened. Some disturbances happened to the whole thing, but still there. I just demonstrated, I felt this, and then because they had to see, we put the Rudraksh and showed them how at different places, how the linga behaves differently.
So Rudraksh is a very sensitive seed to vibration. It either moves clockwise or anti-clockwise. They use normally a mala, this is the mala. Now the only thing I have with this is that he's not inside, he's outside. And not that I can notice visible, signs of wind, but that would definitely influence what the mala is doing. So I'm not questioning Sadhguru right now or his intention to, work what he's trying to, demonstrate to others. But this is not a controlled environment. Normally, the external elements have to be, conducive to do something so minute that it can be affected with, a slight wind or, noise or any kind of a vibration for that matter. So let's continue.
Different places, how the linga behaves differently. So this work has been done in the past plenty, but when when my way or no way attitude came, these things were all raised to the ground in many ways.
Let's watch this part again.
Attitude came, these things were all raised to the ground. When when my way or no way attitude came, these things were all raised to the ground in many ways.
When my way or no way, what does he mean by that? He means obviously that the civilization that pre-existed in Europe, which is the Vedic civilization, the Vedic civilization was raised, basically demolished by the invading civilization or culture. And their belief system, the way he has interpreted it, is my way or no way. And that obviously points out to a certain, religion.
Anyways, otherwise whole of Europe was full of temples like this, consecrated spaces like this. These eastern temples were never built as places of prayer. Even today in India, nobody ever leads a prayer in a temple. You're not supposed to pray or worship, but you're just supposed to sit there and come. The idea was people will go and sit there and benefit. This is how a temple was created. No priest, no prayer. There is a maintenance person who is now calling himself a priest. Certain families were appointed to maintain the sanctity of the place, to keep it going in a certain way. You are just supposed to go there, sit there for some time and come. In South India, this tradition is still alive. In North, it's been disturbed because the brunt of invasions North India took, South India left. The Deccan Plateau was generally left untouched by the outside invaders.
This is another question I have. Like he's talking about the invaders not plundering the southern part as much as the northern part of India. Now the question, let's hear him again and I'll again ask.
North India took, South India left for some time and come. In South India, this tradition is still alive. In North, it's been disturbed because the brunt of invasions North India took, South India left. The Deccan Plateau was generally left untouched by the outside invaders.
Okay, so the Deccan Plateau that he's saying, the south of India, which was left untouched by the invading forces. Now, let's ask the question. The question is, when an invading, force comes to, occupy or to loot or plunder, one of their main objective is to, be after the wealth. They're after the wealth that they want to basically gain. So the question that basically it poses to me is that if invaders aren't coming down to the south, is it because the northern part of India is more wealthier compared to the south? Or they have enough loot to satisfy themselves that they don't come down south? Because south has also got rich temples and, affluent, history that they have. So I'm just trying to understand, like, why would they not come down south, Because if they're coming down south, they would find more wealth, unless it is poor. And there's no need to come and plunder there. So that is just another question. So help me out here.
So you are just supposed to sit there. Nobody leads a prayer, nobody teaches you a prayer, nobody says you must do this or that. You just sit there and imbibe this, because these are all consecrated spaces.
Now, this is a very important aspect. Like, what he's saying here is that the temples that we have in India were designed with a certain idea of being the energy centers where people would come to either raise or basically align their frequencies and vibrations based on that energy center. So the energy center, obviously, they have many dimensions to it, like what aspect of energy it is working on. So based on how that center was designed, for what purpose, people would come for those reasons and benefit from that vibration. So that being the essence or the real meaning, the idea behind this Vedic concept of using Vastu Shastra to build these structures, that's what Sadhguru is trying to imply here. And unfortunately, the reality being that it's all taken over by priests, and they do have ceremonies and rituals and, prayer sessions that they basically what they use now. But I'm glad that he's mentioning, what's the real purpose behind these energy centers.
Created many. All these things were razed to ground. Only few that are left are generally in India and some other Southeast Asian countries. Otherwise, whole of Arabia and Europe were full of consecrated spaces. Created many. All these things were razed to ground. Only few that are left are generally in India and some other Southeast Asian countries. Otherwise, whole of Arabia and Europe were full of consecrated spaces.
So Sadhguru mentions Arabia, Europe, Southeast Asia. So that's the extent that he's mentioned in this video. But the fact remains that there are other continents where you have remains of the Vedic civilization, which is Australia, Africa, South America, North America. So I hope you like the video. Thank you.